Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School Fish Art Stream. J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Yeah. Said he used to have a howitzer on the end of his tail. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to School of Fish. It is Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are back again, as always, to work on some awesome artwork and talk through the process and give as many tips and tricks as I could possibly give while we're here. Uh, Full disclosure, it's a rough day today. My got plenty of sleep. Everything is going good. Just finished a big job. My Tourette's is hurting my nervous system something fierce today, man. I might want to crawl out of my skin and run away if I could. But I'm doing okay. I can work. I can get some stuff done. So I'm here. I can speak. I might be a little tickier than I usually am, but I'm here and I can hang out and have fun. We can work on some stuff. I news in catching everybody up and what's been going on with Mr. Fish Comics. The order has been placed for all the issues of KAAW. The exhaustive list of everybody's addresses and everything has been gone through and triple checked, and what everybody ordered and all that has been sent. The invoice has been sent to me to pay for it. I have sent the money. So now we're just waiting on the wonderful people at Kablam to get the books printed and get them shipped out, get the sketch covers shipped to me so I can draw them and then I will ship them to you separately. But I didn't want anybody to have to wait around on their books. So we're getting it done as quickly as possible. And so those that did order sketch covers on that tier, the sketch covers will come separately. Those that ordered the source book, it's going to be coming shortly. I still have a couple of entries that I need to finish up, but I didn't want anything holding up the books. So the main books are at the printers, they're ready to go. They're in the process of, getting made and whatnot to be shipped, depending on Kablam's schedule and what other things they've got going on. Um, but yeah, all that part is ready to go. I just wrapped up colors yesterday on the Sentinels, which was the next client book that I had that I was halfway through when the Kickstarter started. Just wrapped up colors on that. So now he's got time to look it over and see if there's any crossbar eyes that we missed or anything that we need to tweak here or there. He had me change a couple of colors. For some reason, he didn't like the pink carpet that I picked in one of the places. But I was going for it's set in the 80s, and I found a really cool advertisement for a fancy apartment in the 80s, a vintage ad that had like pink carpet and white leather couches and stuff. And so I copied that look, but that's cool. I changed the colors for him. So when he gets back with me, that'll be finished. And now I'm going back to working on other things call related. Like today, I'm going to be working on some of the commissions that I've got from the CAW Kickstarter. And because I'm having a little bit of a rough day, you're going to be seeing a lot more of the process than normal. Like right now, I have to go into my messenger and download the pictures. Usually, I would try and have this stuff done already, but like I said, it's been kind of a rough day. So I'm a little bit behind what I normally would be doing right now. So, and of course, when I go to load up the pictures from Messenger, it's going nice and slow. So that's fun. We'll give that a second to catch up and see how that's doing. Come on. Doo, come on. And of course, it's this commission is from one of my favorite Kickstarter backers of all time that backs all of my projects and backs them all at a very high tier and always gets all the bells and whistles and all the add-ons, and one of my fervent supporters that like books like Green Zone wouldn't have even happened without this supporter, because this supporter is my lovely wife. And I keep telling her that she doesn't have to back at these high levels. If she wants to be supportive, she could just get one copy of the book. And she always says the same thing. She says, I want to get a copy of all the covers because I know you and you're going to give away or sell every copy that you've got. And then you're not going to have any copies left to remember the book by. And so she wants to make sure that she has a repository of all the books that I've done that I can't sell or give away. And she's absolutely right. I've given away my own personal copies that I had left of just about everything. So she's not wrong for that. It is part of the generous spirit, I guess. But so she commissioned me for a picture that she's been wanting me to do for a while. And I feel bad that I haven't gotten it done for her earlier. But in my defense, when I have free time to work on it and I ask her to send me the information, she's like, okay, I will. And then manages to send it to me much, much later when, I'm working on another project, and once I've gotten, like, a week into somebody else's book, then all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, here's the pictures of these people," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll get onto that as soon as I get done with this," and then by the time I get done with that book, neither one of us remembers where those pictures are because we text and message so much that they're lost in the ether. I literally just had them pulled up a second ago. I saw them, and now it's giving me the little wheel of death again. Like it's just loading and loading and loading, and nothing's happening. Okay, now I see them now. You do it to me again. Okay, this is gonna be image. Create. Okay, so I'm gonna start copying in some of these pictures right quick. Sorry if this isn't the most amazing stuff to watch, but not everything is a huge hit. But let me get back over here real quick. I can turn on my Clip Studio, and so you can see a little bit of what I'm doing anyway. I didn't figure there's any need to drag y'all through my messenger, but these are some of my in-laws' friends, and they are a close group of friends that have been traveling together for a long time, and they have all ended up taking on uh they've all picked one of the 7 dwarfs that they are that seem to match their personalities. And there's, Sneezy and Grumpy and whatnot. And, so they're the 6, 8, 7 dwarfs, I can't remember how many of them there are, that travel around and go on a lot of trips and stuff together. And she's been wanting me to do a caricature of them as a group for a long time because, they're getting older and it's just getting harder to get everybody together to do things at the same time, which I completely understand. And so they wanted something to remember all their travels and times together. And so we are going to do one big group image of all these folks combined together. They're my lovely in laws fixing to drop on the screen right now. That's my in laws, Nanny and Poppy. And then here, what screen I'm on. Great from clipboard. Go. Okay. So I have pulled up all these separate images, and now I need to make one new image that I'm going to create this in. And I don't want to use pixels as my measurement because that doesn't mean anything to me. And I want it to be, I'm going to do 8 by 10 just because it's a nice standard size to be able to find a frame for and makes a really nice image and comes out printed so well. Like you could just send it to like the Walmart Photo Lab or Walgreens or wherever and get such really nice prints made out of it. I cannot recommend it enough. So we're doing 8 by 10, 600 resolution just because I like to work large, and I'm going to shrink these safety borders down to nothing because I don't want that on this image. I'm gonna have to just keep an eye out, make sure I don't get too close to the edge myself. Um, okay. Alright. So there is our image that we're going to be working on. We are going to save it as a Kickstarter and missions and one a beautiful last name. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. And I knew my wife was going to be special when we were just meeting, and uh and we only through the app that we met through, we were only seeing each other by our first names. And I created an animation. Oh, stupid fishy. How did I do that? How did I miss that I was making an animation? That was needlessly wasteful. Oh well, mistakes. You live and learn. Let's just grab faces. So I got several different pictures sent to me by my in-laws with with everybody in it. Some of them individual, some of them groups. So hopefully I've got enough stuff to work from for everybody to make something cool out of this. And some of these, like this, I'm just gonna grab her face and use that. And yes, we want to apply that. I don't do like a lot of caricature artists do, and you've probably heard me talk about it before. I don't tend to crazy exaggerate things on people much because you just you never know what's going to hurt somebody's feelings. And I don't I don't want to be the dude that like one of my sons when he was young had big buck teeth, and I thought they were just precious. I thought it was cute. And then the movie Cars comes out, and his mother points out that he looks like Mater, and it became a family joke, and we would lovingly, laughingly, refer to him as Mater. I found out fairly quickly that he didn't like that at all, and that it really hurt his feelings, and that it was embarrassing for him. So when I realized that it was embarrassing, even though to me it was a loving term of endearment, I treasured him and thought he was beautiful. And it was just a fun thing to me, but it hurt his feelings. So I stopped doing it. His mother, not so much. But I stopped and I let everybody else know that had a habit of wanting to say it because they had heard it. Um, that he doesn't like that. It hurts his feelings. And most people were compassionate enough to be able to stop. Oh, if it hurts his feelings, we're not going to do that. But the thing is, I don't know what of those characteristics of you that stand out and make you look interesting and unique are something that you're sensitive about. Maybe somebody's really sensitive about their ears, or their teeth or whatever. And I can't change that. I don't want to accidentally step on those toes and hurt somebody's feelings because, I'm I just don't want to do it. I don't know what you're sensitive about, so I'm gonna leave that alone. And so I tend to go for a more realistic look. I'm going more for like a portrait. 'Cause I've done a lot of portraits. I'm good at portraits. I'm good at getting it to look like you usually. So I shoot for that and not, you know, let's see how silly we can make you look. Some people love that. Um, I watch a lot of videos because somehow I don't even know how I didn't do it intentionally, but I TikTok is like, oh, this guy watches videos of people doing caricatures, so I've ended up with a lot of them on my feed, and I'm like, so anyway, I end up with a lot of them on my feed, and I'm watching them, and some of the way they stretch people's faces out and stuff, I'm like, this person just sat there and paid you money for this, and you have just straight up disrespected them, and I can't do it. I can't, because I made a mistake. That's why. And so this is kind of my key. She had sent me a list of pictures, and I don't know most of these people very well. So I sent it back to her with some letters on it so she could help me nail down who was supposed to be who. And list real quick. And paste it. That just copied because she's the one that sent it to me. And so we've got that. And now I really need to look for um, some references for the freaking dwarves because, I should know this, but I don't really have a lot of good memory reference of the dwarves. So we are going to um, try and look up some references here. Okay, there we go. Now you can see what I'm doing too. All right, so let's see. Seven. Cool. Before you call me out and say I'm a bad dad because I don't know the seven dwarves and I should, with being a father and everything, my little stubborn children absolutely refused to watch any 2D animation as kids. They would not do it for nothing. And nothing in the world would make them do it. They just looked at 2D animation with disgust. If it wasn't 3D, they wouldn't watch it. They would get up and walk away. And frustrated me every time. Um, okay. This one has their names on it. So let me copy that image and then paste paste it in here so I can see it. Hey, Katie, got you on phone speakers while driving home. Good deal. It's nice to hear from you this morning. Be careful driving. Don't want you having no wrecks or nothing. Need our Katie's back in one pieces the way we're used to them. Oh, I got their. Okay, this is a better one. It's their looks and their names. at the same time. So that'll give me what I need to work with. And is that under? Let's enlargify that so we can see what we're working with. Okay. And now this one I can just get rid of because it's not that good of an image. And I got a better one that has their names, and that's what I need. All right. And now we're going to take all of this and we're going to put that in a folder. Title it ref, not that I'm going to be able to see that anyway, but okay. And now I can turn all that off at one time and bring back up the reference images as I need them. And good deal. All right. Another thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and convert all of these little raster images to image materials. And that way I can click on them and just move them around without having to go to like transform and all that stuff. I can just click on them. So I'm going to take the second and go ahead and turn all of those single images on their own layers. I'm going to go to convert layer and then make them an image material because that's going to make it a lot easier for me to work with as time goes on. Convert layer. Oh, almost forgot to change it. Which happens when I start doing these things repetitively over and over. I will suddenly forget. Like I might even rename the layer to what it's supposed to be, but then forget to turn it into an image layer, an image material layer. So, and it's such a simple little change, but it ends up like not really turning a raster image into a vector, but it lets me move it around like it's a vector image. It lets me grab the nodes on the side of it and scale and rotate and even stretch it if I want to, if that's what I'm going for. Um, convert layer. And it just makes it so much easier for manipulating it and moving it around that it's worth the second that it takes me to stop and convert all these layers. And now I can just move this around, get it where I need it for my reference. I can enlarge it. I could rotate it. I could do whatever I need to do to it to put it where I need to be. And like if I'm working on this lady, let me change my. I have switched to a different layer turned off. Uh, if I'm working on her, I can pull her up and get her right next to the drawing that I'm working on and put her where I need her. And that's just gonna that's gonna make it a lot easier and a lot more useful. What is up, BJ? Good to see you, man. Dude, I saw one of your TikTok videos. I commented on it, man. It was a good video. It was inspirational video, and I really dig the lumberjack shirt that you had on in there, man. That was rocking the swag, man. I can appreciate somebody that's out there repping other people's characters and stuff, man. Good on you. I enjoyed the video. I hope to see a bunch more of them. Uh-oh, do that. I don't know how I did that. Oh, uh, because let me. I gotta get talk for a second because you know you Uncle Fish. You got to get in here and talk because we stream. Like I'm still streaming on Five Star Fridays podcast through like the Agents of Geekdom network and stuff. So we've got to sign in to restream through there with that account so that I can put it out to all those places. And then I've got my own restream account for doing School of Fish, so I can put it where I need it to be, and I can have like my Tuesday shows be public and my Thursday shows be for patrons only, which you can join for $3 a month and hang out and watch on the shows, take part, make suggestions that might end up in books, all kinds of cool stuff. Or for as little as $5, you can get digital copies of all the comics that I work on. It's a good deal. I'm just saying, you can go over to patreon.com, Mr. Fish Comics, check it out. But because I need that kind of freedom, I got my own Restream account. But If I go through Firefox that I usually use for absolutely everything that I do on the internet, it has all that login stuff saved for Agents of Geekdom, and I either have to forget that every time and then type it all back in and re-log in, or I decided to go with Microsoft's browser that they've got that I never use. And so I have it set up for my stuff, and then Firefox that I use all the time set up that already had the Agents of Geekdom stuff on it. And it works pretty good. It works fine for what I needed to do. I know which one to log into to do what show I'm going to do. But every once in a while, when I'm in this browser, it's got all kinds of other little things on it that I'm not used to. And like I just accidentally turned on Bing, and it took me a second to figure out how to get it off because I don't use this one very often. Yeah, well, that's how things work sometimes. Okay, so now we need to come up with something cool for these guys to be doing. I know they travel a lot. I know they play a lot of cards. Um, I'm kind of thinking being the traditional uh with them as much traveling as they do, it kind of feels like the walking to work bit is the way to go for this. So I think that's what I'm going to shoot for. Um, and let's see. We'll see if I can pick out. Okay, so Nana and Poppy are sitting next to each other. They're sitting next to each other. They're sitting next to each other, and they're sitting next to each other. Let's see. Okay, they're next to each other. He's holding on to her in a pretty personal way. So, uh, but then Poppy's back here and Nanny's up here in the front. So, but that would leave them as a pair. So, okay, and my little detective work has them tucked in together as a pair here. So that should pair them off right because I kind of want to keep the couples together. I'm grocery shopping, so I'll have to catch up with this when I get back home. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Thank you for always coming and hanging out with us and checking in every morning, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, check out the Patreon, man. You can watch, the patron only show for just $3 if you just want to hang out and do that and be supportive. And I'd really appreciate it. And otherwise, like I said, for $5, you can get all the digital comics I put out. For 15, I'll ship them straight to your house, whole 9 yards, man. That's a pretty good deal. And I'm going to be working more and more on my own books immediately because I just finished my last client book. So expect more awesomeness coming from Mr. Fish Comics very, very quickly. So it's a good deal. I appreciate it. Have fun grocery shopping, man. Make smart choices. That's what I always tell myself when I go in the grocery store. Okay. So let's look at our reference again here and check them out. See if there's, remember if there's a great deal of height difference in them. Uh, 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 I'm just going to rough them out in here. And I forgot. I need to make myself. I'm gonna turn down the transparency a little bit so I can work through the images and see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna turn my layer to blue the way I always do. And then we're gonna come in here and just start roughing some stuff out and try and figure out what we're gonna do. Uh, my my only problem with this idea, with this layout that I just roughly sketched down, like an S curve kind of road would be more interesting. But my worry is that's going to make somebody seem more important in the foreground than in the guys in the background. I know this one fella's pretty tall, so he might be fun to stick right back in there. Um, because we just had a birthday party for my in-laws, and a couple of their group came. Um, let's see, one, two, three, there's four couples there. Yeah, there's eight. One, two, three, six, seven. I see. That's my problem. Is it makes somebody in the back a lot smaller than the people in the front, and that's my only problem. Hmm. Okay, so let's try making another one, and we'll try another layout, and we'll see how that does. I'm gonna try making this a little bit darker so it's easier to see, and we'll see how that does. Okay, so the S curve didn't really do what I was wanting. So let's see if we had them all walking this way, then maybe I can like stack them up in like a tier, like bleachers kind of thing, and then we could put somebody back here, and back here. And the nice thing about working digitally is we can always change and move things around a little bit, which is what I love about it so much. And then maybe we put Grumpy back here at the back. I don't want to go anywhere. All right, let's see. I mean, that could work. That's not the most interesting use of the space, but it gets everybody in there. And like, I thought about maybe having them sitting around a table playing cards, but my only problem with that is I've done it before because my wife's in a gaming group and they play Bunko with a bunch of ladies, and her and Des, her daughter, go. And the problem with having everybody sitting around a table is almost everybody is real easy to do, and then you end up having to try and find reasons for the people in the front to be turned all the way around so that you can see their faces because nobody takes a portrait, sends you a picture from this angle to get it to look like them. So you end up with somebody sitting over here with cards and their head turned all the way around, and that looks weird. And you can only do so many like arm on the back of the chair. Hey, uh, so that kind of layout becomes a problem. That's the kind of stuff you don't think about until you're doing caricatures all the time, and you got to stick a dozen people in there. When it's two people, having them standing next to each other, posing, looking in is easy enough. Um, and I thought for a second about like kind of pyramiding them up a little bit so that they've got more of a, uh, they take up a little bit more of the space vertically, but then is that putting the people on the top of the pyramid above everybody else? Like, people can worry about all kinds of things that I don't think about. So I try and think these things through before I make choices like that. Because oh man, I've done so many of these group pictures for like teams at work as a, thank you for hard work on a team. And then people are like, well, wait a minute. Why are they in the center of the page and I'm not? Wait a minute. Why are they on top of me? I'm his boss. Or, stuff like that. Or man, it's nuts what people will get worked up about. Um, and then I'm drawing ladies without them asking me to draw them, and that's really usually a no-no for me, but this is my wife and I love her, so I'd do anything for her. But I usually don't draw caricatures of women unless the lady herself asks me to do it, because what invariably happens, and now here, hold on. If your Uncle Fishy can give you any piece of advice on drawing characters, it would be this. I never draw a caricature of a woman when she hasn't asked for it. It's usually a hard and fast rule of mine now. I'm only breaking it now because my wife has asked me to do this for her family friends. Um, because what invariably happens, if a woman comes to me and says, "Hey, will you draw a caricature of me?" Absolutely, I will. And she will either pose for a picture the way she wants it, or she will send me a picture that she likes. And she's happy about this idea. She sent me a picture that she likes, and I will draw it to look like the woman in that picture and then have it do whatever fun things she wants to be doing in the caricature. Everybody's happy. Every single time that a loving husband or boyfriend or encouraging boss or coworker has sent me a picture of somebody that they love and they admire and they want to celebrate, with a caricature to hang on the wall for employee of the month, is the lady is always mad about it every single time. She didn't get to pick the picture. She didn't get to, had no choice or say in this matter. And we know all of us are sensitive about our looks. All of us are sensitive about what pictures we're willing to share. And we know that there's a lot more pressure on ladies to, try and somehow be perfect and airbrushed and all this stuff. So I have found the only ladies that are ever happy with it are the ones that say, "Yes, I would like this done." Everybody else has been out of shape about it because it's not the picture from the perfect angle or whatever in her car, wherever she gets her perfect pictures that she's willing to share on, Facebook, and always unhappy. It never fails. Doesn't matter how much the husband loves her, no matter how beautiful she looks in this picture to him, no matter, she could be the most beautiful thing in the world to him, and he loves this picture. It's his favorite picture of her. She will be bent out of shape every time. She'll be mad about it because, oh, I don't look right. I look fat. You can see my gray hairs. You can blah. There's a wrinkle. Whatever it is, whatever we get self conscious about, the ridiculous, stupid things that we get self conscious about. Like I get self conscious about the bags under my eyes, which is why I've improved my lighting in here. I'm nearly 50 years old. I never expected to make it past 26. So the fact that I have bags under my eyes and wrinkles is an amazing thing. I am proud of every gray hair in my beard, which is why I don't dye it. Plus, I'm too lazy. But I'm proud of every wrinkle on my face. But it being on camera all the time and doing all these podcasts and going back and watching, I'm like, oh man, those bags, I look old. So I got nice lighting. And now I look all pretty and young and handsome. We've all got it, baby. Ain't none of us immune to it, but, you know, so that's my tip of the day. Ladies that ask for it, ask for the caricature are gonna love it. Ladies that didn't ask for it, you better get that husband, boyfriend, coworker, boss, whoever to go check with her and get a picture from her. She ain't gonna be happy. I've had ladies chew me out for not making them look fat enough. You can never tell what somebody's gonna get mad about when they didn't choose to be in the picture. So there you go. That's that's my little tip for the day, and that one could save you a whole lot of time and effort right there if you put that one in your pocket and use it. We all have stuff to get self-conscious about. I'm not berating anybody for it. It's just something that I've found over and over again is if she didn't commission it, she's probably not going to be happy with it. You know, I didn't mean to talk about this deep, but while we're talking about something that I won't do with the usually with the drawing commissions of ladies that didn't ask to be drawn. Another commission that I won't do is usually I steer away from doing pictures of people's babies, their children. I don't do dead relatives, and I will not do your late children that have passed. I won't do them because you will never be happy with it. And I have come up against it over and over again. Now, admittedly, I am not the best artist in the world. I'm not going to give you a perfect photograph reproduction of the picture that you sent me of your beloved angel. But, if you, but also in my mind, if you wanted a picture of it, you could just take the picture that you have and get that blown up. Um, People are never gonna be happy with the picture of their, late wife or, their beloved grandfather or their dearly departed child, and a lot of times with their babies in real life that are still here because they want magic. They look at their beautiful babies and they see magic, sparkling angels that do all kinds of amazing things and coo and giggle. And she gets this little sparkle in her eye when she's about to do something naughty and get into trouble. And grandpa used to just have this way about him, and he had this smell. I don't know what it was, but it just puts you at ease, the smell of his aftershave, and he had this twinkle in his eye when he was about to crack a joke that he knew was too dirty and grandma was going to get mad at him. And, like, look, I want to capture that. I can't capture that. I cannot get a scent. I can't get a twinkle. I can't get a giggle, a laugh, a memory. I cannot capture all the ephemeral memories that you have of this person. All I can try and do is replicate what I see in this picture. I never knew this person. I never met this person. I have never seen this person before. All I have is a picture to work from, and this picture didn't capture the twinkle in grandpa's eye or the ornery little look that she got in her eyes before she dropped a deuce in her diaper or any of those other things. You I can't capture what I can't see. I don't know these people. I ran into this I made this rule finally when I was working on painting a portrait of my grandfather. And I nailed the image in this black and white picture. I had to transfer this black and white picture into color. I wanted to do it black and white because that's what I had, and a grayscale painting would have been a lot easier to do, and B, trying to pick what skin color he's gonna be when I can't tell and I can't see it was hard, but I ended up with a really great likeness of him that looked really good, and everybody was upset about it because they're angry that it doesn't have his twinkle, and they're angry that it doesn't smell like his aftershave, and she's angry that it doesn't have his laugh, and it doesn't have this, that, and all kinds of magical, ethereal things that I can't capture in a picture. You couldn't capture it in a photograph. I can't capture it in an illustration or a painting. And so this is the reasons that I don't do this anymore. I just realized that it was far too hard and emotional a target to hit, and I am never going to be able to give you everything that you feel when you think about this person that's passed, and that's just too big of a thing. You're wanting They are always wanting more out of this image than I can put into it. And so for those reasons, I say no. And as an artist, you need to get comfortable with saying no about some things because it is going to save you so much hassle and headache and torment if you just learn to say, no, that's not what I do. Rather than, I know I'm the same way. It goes against every fiber of my body to say, no, I do not want the money that you want to give me for this thing. I will sell you my drawing table right here if you want to pay me money for it. Like it is baked into me to want to make money and profit off of things and have money to pay my rent and feed my children. But I have had to learn that there's some things that I need to say no to, and we're all going to be a lot happier if I just say no than if I take your money and I work like crazy on something that I know you're never really going to be happy with, and and then you're not happy and I'm not happy and it wasn't worth the hassle. So it's a lot better for me to say no, let you find somebody that does specialize in this. I have seen artists that only draw pictures of dead, departed relatives and whatnot. And I can't imagine doing that for a living, but hey, more power to you. Even with pet portraits, you prefer the kind to get references myself, prefer to get references myself, at least meet the animal first, but you get batshit crazy requests sometimes. Absolutely. Like drawing their dog when they've only got a photo of its mother. Oh my, I have never heard a more believable, understandable, like I resonate with that request. I've never had anybody make that crazy of a request, but it's absolutely sounds like something that I should have been requested 100 times to do. It oh, that's so ridiculous. DM Ray says, "Fish, you can't lick the colors out." I laughed when you talked about being able to smell aftershave in a pic. Yeah, absolutely, man. It people want such weird things and they don't even realize how crazy what they're asking for is. And oftentimes, because they're not artists, and a lot of times, I don't mean to sound elitist. I don't mean to sound like I'm saying these people aren't smart, but like because their brains don't work the same way as some other people's, like my brain, when I think about my house, I don't just see a children's drawing of a house or see a generic icon of a house or just see an image of my house. I see like the three-dimensional form of my house and all the trees in the front yard and the gates and the buildings, and I can rotate that thing around in my head in 3D. Not everybody can do that. So I'm not trying to be elitist when I say that, but like because our brains don't work the same way, I had a dear sweet old woman that wanted me to draw a picture of the house that she grew up in. And she had several different black and white, the little bitty black and white photos with the white border around it. She had several of these old photos that she had given me that had the house from several different angles. And she wanted to be able to see the front door, the front of the house and the little tree out front, and we also needed to be able to see the side of the house where I think the woodshed was or something very important. And we also need to be able to see the back door of the house where, her mother would come out and the outhouse was out here in the back and her mother would come out in the morning when, after cooking and whatnot. Like we need to be able to see all three sides of this house at the same time. And I offered as many suggestions as I could possibly offer of like I could do one really nice image of the front of the house and two little inset images that give you a detail of the side of the house that you want to see and the back of the house with the outhouse and everything. And no, I need to be able to see it all at the same time in the same image. And I kept trying to explain to her that this is going to be a flat image on a flat white piece of paper drawn in charcoal. It's not an animation or a video or a 3D model. I even offered to build a model of the house for her at one point that she could have. Wasn't good enough. No, she needed to be able to see the whole house at the same time. And I kept explaining to her, like, this is a flat image like these photographs you sent me. It doesn't move or rotate. I can only see one side of the house at one time, maybe two. I could extrapolate from two of these images what the corner of the house looks like, and I could give you two sides from this angle. And I sketched it for like what it would look like. It's like, but I can't show you all three. And she had the audacity to look me in the eyes and say, I can walk around the house and see all four sides of it. And I was like, yes, because that's a three-dimensional space like a model would be, which I can make you if you want, but a flat image can't do that, it doesn't move. She's like, but I can walk around the house and see all four sides. And I was like, but I can't do that in a two-dimensional image. This one looks me in the face and says, if you were a real artist, you could. And that was probably one of my first no's I ever told a potential customer. I was related to this lady. But I was like, "Nope, I can't do it. Be mad at me all you want, cut me off Christmas card list. I cannot do what you're asking for. So I'm not gonna keep going down this road." I once got asked to draw a dog exactly as it was, even though it had cancer with huge lumps everywhere. So I did it and she hated it. So then I drew it again without the cancer. This lady does not understand physics. No, most people don't. It's surprising how much they don't. You should have unfolded a box and told her that the house would have looked like that. Tried explaining that to her. No, not good. No, a real artist could do it. I've gotten I'd have given her a panoramic photo of it with all sides touched. I I thought about it honestly, but I knew she'd never be happy with it, so I didn't. Um, and again, I realized very quickly that this was never gonna go well. This was never gonna end up where either of us were happy, especially not for like the 25 bucks she was willing to pay for it or something back in 90 something. Uh, yeah, we were never gonna be happy. So it's okay to say no. It's okay. You need to learn to say no because it's one of the most important things and the hardest things that we do, but you will ultimately be much happier for it because the stress that comes with the bad jobs that you knew were bad from the beginning, but you took them anyway because they were willing to pay you money for it and like, figure it out. They just get worse and they're never worth the money. They just aren't. On the other hand, every rare once in a while, every once in a while, like I've worked with lots of different clients, and every once in a while you'll find a client that's just too difficult or needs too much or is requiring more than you're available to give for this price, etc. And and if that's not working at that price, I always finish the job I'm on. If I agree to do the job, I'm going to finish it if at all possible, or I return the money if I absolutely can't finish it. But that's only happened a couple of times. But um, absolutely finish the job. After that, you can be too busy or too expensive to do another job for them again, which usually raising your prices for this customer because now you know this customer requires a whole extra level of revisions and changes and conversations and clarifications and stuff with their work, then you need to add on money for that. And usually that will price them right out of being willing to do this again. And you don't have to worry about those jobs again. I had one client, great guy, great guy, loved the project I worked on, but because of the nature of the project that he was doing and the nature of the type of work that he normally does, he's very used to multiple layers of revision on a project, which is not something that I have figured in to my very cheap price for doing comic book pages. My very cheap price on doing comic book pages is set on, okay, you give me a clear script with what you need. I send you the pencils. If there are any revisions that need to be made, we make them then. I go on to inks. At that point, if there's any small tweaks, like maybe I forgot a detail or something, but major revisions should have already been handled. Small tweaks, no problem. Big changes, one or two in a book, no problem. A whole lot of them, that's a problem. But from the nature of the project that we were working on and the nature of the work that he does in his day, he's used to every step along the way. Let's just scrap this and start over with that. And that is not what I had priced into these pages. And so I explained at the end of the job, I finished the job, no problem. I lost a lot of money on that job. But I explained to him, I was like, I apologize for the misunderstanding, and I don't blame you at all for like needing the level of revisions that you need. That's what you require. No problem. You have the right to get what you want. You should get the final product that you want. My problem is my price isn't based on that level of revision. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be the guy going forward for you on this project because if I were to continue to do these pages, I would literally have to double my price just to cover all the extra layers of revisions and stuff that we need to do to get this to be what it needs to be for you in the project. And I was like, and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, I know I'm going to be too expensive. I apologize. And his response was, "Well, okay, I understand. Let's double the price then." Okay. Very quickly went from being one of my most frustrating projects to work on to being one of my favorite projects to work on. And going into it knowing that there's going to be this level of revisions, it doesn't come as a shock, it doesn't come as a surprise, it doesn't come as a, "Oh my god, how am I gonna make ends meet because I've got another book that I gotta go on to, and now I'm having to spend twice as long on this." We're paying for twice as long on this. So now I send them off, and then I joyfully wait for the revisions to come, and then we do the next stage. And I send it off and wait for the revisions to come because we factored that into the price. And so I love that project. So don't be afraid to account for those things. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say, you know what? I thought this would work at this price, but it doesn't. If you're interested, we could do it at this price, or, I can help you find somebody else who can do it for that. But that one worked out really well. I thought I was saying no, and I got a raise instead. That was awesome. Okay. Now that we've been talking all this time and not doing any drawing, and now that we're 56 minutes into the show, nothing to show for life's commission. We're into talking almost, and I've got nothing to show for life's commission. Oh my god. There's very little as frustrating as trying to communicate with commission clients sometimes. And okay, we're just giving advice today. Forget the commission from my wife. I'm gonna have to work on that after the show. We're giving advice today. Today's the advice show on Mr. Fish Comics, and hard won advice at that. Um, that right there is a problem that I kept running into over and over and over again when I was doing logo design and doing graphic design and stuff because I was, especially as a small freelancer, I was almost exclusively working with people who had never hired an artist before. We've just started a business, we're launching our food truck or our upholstery business or whatever. And we've never hired an artist before, but now we need a logo to represent our business and our food truck and all of our hopes and dreams. And it's going to go on the side of the truck and it's going to go on our business cards and it's going to go on our bags and our packaging and our website and our YouTube and our TikTok. And this magical image has to represent everything about us. And they've never hired an artist. They've never worked with an artist like this before. They've never been through the process before. And It is so it is such a frustrating thing when you're working with people that have never commissioned an artist before, and they're stepping out for the first time, doing something so big and so scary that potentially has, you know, their whole family's future hopes and dreams tied up into it. Like, they're understandably nervous about this, and they're understandably concerned about the amount of money that they're investing in this project that has to succeed or might lose their house. And, so then when it's expensive to get a logo designed, and it needs to be expensive to get a logo designed because there's a lot of work and a lot of skill and talent involved in it. And then there's the whole producing the image in a myriad of formats and styles and one color and full color and black and white and all these different formats so that they can use it wherever they need and giving it to them in RGB and CMYK so they can get it printed or they can get it, on their TikTok videos or a vector format so that they can get it embroidered on their hats and cut in vinyl to put on the side of their truck. There's a lot of work involved in this and giving them something good quality that they'll be happy with. So it needs to be expensive. But it got to the point to where, like, half of my price was just figured in for holding their hands and walking them through the process and teaching them how this process is gonna work because you've never done this before, and I'm going to send you sketch ideas, and you're gonna pick, like, 2 of those ideas that you like, and I'm going to flesh those out more for you. And then we're going to pick which one of those fleshed out designs we want to go with. And None of that other stuff is going to belong to you. You don't own any of those other images. They're my creation. I have the right to do with them as I please. I might reuse some of those ideas on somebody else's project. Might be a food truck, might be a chiropractic center, who knows? But like to understand that they don't own every sketch that I put out, every scribble that I put down. They're not buying the right to see every one of those scribbles brought out to a complete finished project and then pick between 1,000 different projects. They don't get that right. We're going to hone down on the one that you like, and then I'm going to give you a near final version of that that you get to look over and make any changes and revisions that you want to it again. Now, this is this second set of revisions that we're doing. And then what you tell me to do from there is going to get put into the finalized product that I'm going to show you for your approval, barring any minor tweaks. Like maybe you decided you don't want the gold outline. Okay, I can turn that off. We are not deciding that we're going with a different font now, or we want to go with the square logo instead of the round. No, that's not what we're doing now. Like you've agreed, you made your final set of revisions. I'm giving you a final file for approval. Once that file is approved, I'm going to render out all these different versions of it. So you will have all these different files for whatever you may need in the future. If you want to stick it on your TikTok videos, I've got one for that. If you want to get it cut in vinyl on the side of your car, I've got one for that. If you need it black and white for the local newspaper to put in an ad, I've got your file for that. Um, and then I'm going to produce all that. Now you don't get at that point, and this is all stuff I'm having to explain to them. This is why it got so expensive. Like after this point, after I've rendered all these files and the job is done, you don't get to come back and say, well, I showed it to my neighbor and my neighbor said blue is too gay. Real quote. So now we have to go back and change the logo. That costs more money. We revisions after this point cost more money. And if you want to make a change after this point, it's going to cost more money because it's a whole lot more work to do. These are the times where we can make changes. This is the point where we're not making any more changes. These are the change opportunities you have paid for. These changes you have not paid for, and they will cost you money. It's like being a kindergarten teacher, and you have spent all week explaining to the kids. Now, kids, we're going to be working with paste this Friday. And we're not going to eat the paste, are we? Because paste isn't food. And we're not going to put paste in our mouths because it's not food. Because we don't eat paste because it's not food. So what do we not do with the paste? We don't eat it. Why? Because it's not food. Now, everybody bring out your paste. But remember, we're not going to eat it and we're not going to put it in our mouths because it's not food. Timmy, why do you have the paste in your mouth? It is not food. That is what that is what my freelance career had basically come down to, was teaching kindergartners and teaching them how we're going to go through this process and explaining to them 100 times and making sure you understand, like, this is the points where we make changes and revisions and we can go anywhere you want to go over here in the beginning. And now that we've driven down this road, we've got several options of paths we can take. But once we get over here, we're not deciding to go to Australia now that, we've been heading to Detroit all this time. That's not the choice that we're making. That's the choice that you make over here in the beginning if you want to go to Australia, if you want to go to Scotland, if you want to go to Thailand. But you said Detroit, so we're headed to Detroit. Now we could take a couple paths, you know, I spent so much time explaining that to new clients. They're like, "Oh yeah, okay, I get it. We can make revisions here, we can make fine tune here, and then after that, it costs money." Okay, great. And then we get to the end, and they get all their final files, and they tell me they're happy with it, and then they come back a week later demanding a whole bunch of changes because they showed it to other people that all had an idea on it, and it's not their business that they're investing their future and their family's fortune into, and they all have an idea. So all of those ideas must be every bit as important as the business owner's idea. And now it has to be changed. And they can't understand why I would possibly want more money to revise these files. It doesn't make any sense. You never mentioned this before. I mentioned it in the contract you signed. I mentioned it in every conversation we had. I've got several emails where you say you agree and understand what we were talking about. Oh, it was so frustrating trying to communicate And I'm not even really mad at them. I understand why they're nervous. I understand, they've invested everything they have in this food truck or chiropractic business or kindergarten or construction company or whatever it is they're doing. They're risking everything on this and they're nervous about it and they've never done this before. And I understand why they're nervous. It's just frustrating, especially when you're working with people that have never done this before. When you're working with professional, bigger businesses and you're working with people whose job it is to commission artists to do projects like this, you get clear feedback, you get clear instructions, they understand the process. You tell them that we're doing revisions here and we're doing revisions here. Revisions past this point cost extra money. They're like, you know what? I don't want to pay extra money. So let's make sure we get all of our revisions in here so that we don't have to do that. Works like a charm, or if they do decide, corporate sends down a decision that they want to change things and they explain to corporate that it's going to cost more money if we do that. And corporate says, fine, I don't care. We want the changes. And they're like, okay, here's the extra money. Let's change it. Great. No problem. It has been so much easier since I've been working in comics because even in the small press indie comics, 9 times out of 10, I'm working with, if they're not professionals, they're very dedicated to their craft. They have done this many times before. They've hired artists many times. They know what to expect from an artist. They know that I'm going to give you an idea and you're going to take that and blossom it into something. And most of the time, they've looked over your work and they're like, okay, this guy does the kind of stuff that I want to do. And his imagination is going in the kind of direction mine's going in. And that's where I would like to see this project go. So hopefully, I'm going to give him the ball and he's going to run with it and take it to places I didn't even imagine. And it's going to be great. Occasionally, you find somebody, who again is first time and they're very nervous and they're very scared and they want to keep strict control over everything like, oh, but this is my idea and this is my baby and my precious thing and I only want you to do exactly this with it. I don't want you to make it grow. I don't want you to make it blossom into something bigger because that's not what I've imagined. I want this. And if you can give me very clear instructions of what you want, I'll give you this. I can't give you the world because you very clearly want this, but I'll give you that. But working with people that have hired artists before, that know what they're doing, that know what to expect, that know, like, okay, these are the stages where I need to be like, oh, by the way, Ultraman's going the wrong direction in this panel. Let's turn him around and have him facing the other way. Cool beans. No problem. I'll change that for you. You know, very rarely have I had a client where, the page has gone through pencils and inks and lettering and coloring and is now finished and ready to go to print. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. Ultraman's going the wrong direction. Let's turn that around and change that. Very rarely do I find that. And usually that's only when mistakes have been made along the way. Uh, usually everybody knows what they're doing. Things have been cleaned up and corrected and edited in the script before I get it. And so we don't have to make major changes after the book's started. And it's so much easier working with pros and people that hire artists all the time than trying to explain how the process works to new people. And these guys are often investing just as much of their hopes and dreams and their future and their finances and their time and effort and money into trying to make a better life for themselves and to trying to make something out of this small press indie publishing game, and just as much as the guy with the food truck is trying to do. But the main difference is they usually have a lot more experience in hiring artists because this isn't their first time hiring somebody to draw their character. This is their first time, they've made handbooks and pinups and all kinds of things. Maybe there's been four other issues before you got brought on board. And so they have a good idea what they're doing before they hire you, and things run so much smoother when you're working with somebody like that. DM Ray says, my old man had a saying, when you tell 40 people that you're putting shingles on your roof, you're now magically talking to 40 roofers. Oh my God. Yes, you are. Yes. Preach. You absolutely are. Oh my god. They just automatically know so much. Ugh. Okay, hold on. I think my earbud is dying because it is beeping at me. So let me put in the other one because, I gotta be able to. I don't know if y'all could hear that. I'm guessing you probably could because the way I have my thing set up, but I put my earbud in, and for some reason, it automatically started my playlist from last night with the ocean sounds to help me sleep. But anyway, we have spent a hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 11 minutes, not drawing my wife's submission. She's oh, the look I'm gonna get when she sees this show and realizes that I didn't get any work done on her commission in this time. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm gonna have something for her to see by the time she gets home. Uh, I got to because she's my most important client. Um, but it has been good to talk about this stuff, and I hope some of it has been helpful to somebody because a lot of these lessons have been things that I've had to learn the hard way. And the hardest lesson for me to ever learn was to say no, but it has been so profitable over my career to learn what things aren't worth the time and investment and what things aren't worth the hassle. And it's better to save my time to work on projects that are more profitable and are less hassle and we can do better. And, even if like occasionally you'll run into a client that has a really neat idea and has a really cool story and wants to do something awesome, but, you know, you love the story idea, but they don't have any money to pay for it, or they can only pay 20 bucks a page, but I'll give you part of the royalties or whatever. Like, and for me, as somebody who has to pay his mortgage on this house so his kids have a place to live with the money he makes from drawing, that's a no-go. I can't afford to work for 20 bucks a page. Like, I love your project. I would love to be a part of it. I can't afford to do that because then I can't pay my rent. And so I can't do your 100-page graphic novel for 20 bucks a page. Just can't do it. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I can't. I love the idea. I would love to be a part of it, but I can't do that. Sometimes somebody comes to you with a great idea and they're paying good money for a project, but then you very quickly realize that our imaginations don't run in the same direction. And all the awesome ideas that I have for their project are all, no, 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 that's not the way. No, we can need to go this way. We need, no, well, what if we made it big and grandiose and amazing? No, 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 no. We need to make it small and tiny and unimportant. And well, what if we made it deep and emotional? No, 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 no. We want it shallow. We don't want any emotion. Like, I mean, I'm being a little over dramatic, but like our imaginations just run in very completely different ways. And to the point that I I know that you think this idea is awesome in this direction, but I can't even wrap my head around what it is that you find is awesome about this direction, which is okay. There's a lot of movies out there that aren't made for me, but other people absolutely love. Lots of books that are written for people that aren't me, but other people absolutely love. That's okay. Maybe there's a whole cult following of people that are going to love this project and are going to follow it and, cherish it and dress up as the characters and stuff, but I don't get like, and if I can't wrap my head around what you love about this story and what makes this story awesome for you and why keeping it all small and shallow and stuff is what makes it so awesome to you, then I can't give you an awesome finished product. If I can wrap my head around it and I can fall in love with it too, then great. We can be off to the races. But if my imagination's running this way and your imagination's running that way, then it's just gonna be a tug of war the entire time, and it's gonna be so hard for me to give you what you want because I don't understand why this is awesome to you. And, it's not a you suck and your ideas are bad. It's just if our imaginations aren't running in the same way, if I can't fall in love with the project close to the way you're in love with the project, then it's gonna show in the finished product. And I want you to be ecstatic with it. When our imaginations run in the same way and you give me an idea, you hand me the ball and I run with it, and you see those pages and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so much further than I ever imagined it could have gone. It is so much cooler than I ever thought it could be. I never even would have thought of adding in that detail and that detail. And oh my god, and even all these little things and doodads in the background that you added all have a purpose. And oh, this is so cool." That's what I want. When you give me your baby of a story, I want to hand it back to you in a beautiful, glorious, amazing condition beyond what you ever imagined it was going to get to. When our imaginations run on the same track, that's pretty easy to do. It's pretty easy for me to see, oh, this is where you want to go, son. I know what's beyond that. Let's go over there. And, we can hit the road running. When I don't understand what it is you love about the project, or my imagination doesn't run in that same direction, and I don't see the beauty in the sadness or whatever it is that you're loving about this story, then I can't give you that. And I want to give you that. I want to give you better than you asked for. And if I don't understand why you love this project, or what track this is on creatively, I can never give you better than you asked for. And it's going to be hard to even give you as good as you asked for. And that's not right. To me, the project deserves better than that. You deserve better than that. If you're going to put your hard earned money into trying to get this book made, this book needs to be as awesome as it can possibly be. And if there's somebody else out there that does see the beauty and the sadness, and loves the tininess and the small scope and the shallowness, and this is, oh boy, that's their love and their joy, and they can pour their passion and their heart into that, then with them you're going to get a better book than you ever imagined, rather than, fighting with me to try and get my brain over here to where you are, to try and give you something that you're not ultimately ecstatic about. I don't want to do that. It's better to just say no, and like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. It sounds cool, but I'm not the guy for this project." And that hurts to say, especially sometimes when maybe you don't have the next job lined up and this guy's offering some good money, and like, I would love to say yes and take your money and pay my rent and do a book, but if you're ultimately not going to be ecstatic with the final product, then I don't want to do it, because I have been so lucky and so tremendously blessed to have such an amazing group of clients that I've gotten to collaborate with on these projects. And I've been able to work on so many awesome books that I absolutely love and I'm super proud of. And some of those books I'm just as proud of and protective of as, any character I ever created. And I'm lucky to have a group of guys that I can work with regularly on really awesome projects and put out cool books. And our imaginations are running in the same paths. And you can give me an idea and I can take it and run with it, and you can be ecstatic with it. And it's made me a little spoiled, I guess, in a way. Like, getting to work with clients where our imaginations do run on the same track, and they can be so ecstatic and so excited, and I can always work magic and give them back better than what they asked for. That's an awesome feeling. And so, I mean, maybe I am a little bit spoiled, but I want to keep doing that. And I keep finding cool guys and ladies to work with that are doing cool projects in the realm that I want to go into. And we're vibing on the same channel and we can just really do cool stuff together. I would rather keep doing that. And I've got people that want to keep doing that. So I'm not often struggling for, man, how am I going to pay the rent next month? Because, I gotta have a book to do. you know, Let me take on this book from somebody that I don't know, that is in a genre that I don't really understand, that is going for a vibe that I don't really get, but I'll figure it out because I need the money. I'm lucky enough that I've got lots of people to work with that keep me busy, keep me busier than I can do. And I get to do awesome things and give them awesome products that they're super ecstatic about. And there is no better feeling so far in my limited experience in the comic book world, in my limited years on this earth so far. There's been no better professional experience than to send a client pages, at the end of the day, and then moments later start getting messages from other friends being like, "Dude, you killed it on those pages. Man, Roy's been going on and on about how awesome these pages are. This dude over here was saying how amazing your expressions are. And this guy's just saying how much you add to everything you work on." And realize you just shared these pages with your client, and within minutes, they've spread them out to all their friends to show off how amazing the work is that you did. And now all these people are hitting you up, bragging about what a good job you did. That's awesome. That is an amazing feeling. From former alcoholic, from, former addict, like, that is better high than I've ever got in my entire life. The feeling of just being appreciated by people that love and value this kind of work, and to be appreciated to the point that they love it so much, they're showing it off to their friends, and their friends are so excited, they gotta hit you up and tell you what a good job you did. Man, freaking forget about it, dude. There's no high like that. So, you can tell why I've been sober so long. Oh, man. The riches are in the niche. Can't do it all. Absolutely, man. Ray gets it. Ray gets it. Yeah. All right. Well, we're nearing on the hour and a half mark of not working West Commission. So, if nothing else, I'm going to bring the show to a close just so I can get back to work on my wife's commission and quit giving out advice and stuff. But this has been a really fun show, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in and listening, even when, some of you are grocery shopping and whatnot and can't actually watch. I'm glad we had this chance to sit here and actually talk about some things and give out a little advice. And hopefully, somebody that needs it will stumble across some of this. Thank you guys for hanging out this morning. And I will see most of y'all back Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise on School of Fish on the Patreon only account. But if you're not following along on Patreon, it's Patreon, MrFishComics.com, or Patreon.com/MrFishComics. And for as little as $3 a month, you can follow along on the Patreon only School of Fish too, and get to watch me work on pages, kick out suggestions and stuff in conversation that will probably end up in issues of KAAW and Green Zone. Like, there's stuff in KAAW right now hanging on my wall, and the Patreon backers can see in the digital download right now, which is available on Patreon for free once you join. Um, that can see stuff in there that's only in there because we were having a conversation on School of Fish and it ended up on the page. So I'm just saying, you can have your ideas encased in amazement and awesomeness in a comic book forever just for $3 a month. That ain't bad. For $5, you can read all the digital comics you want for free from Mr. Fish Comics. Everyone I do and put out, you will get. Or for 15, you can sign up and I will ship them directly to your house, physical copies of every book that I work on, which is going to be more and more and more and more and more and more and more coming very soon. Because now that I'm done with the Sentinels, I'm doing the commissions from the Kickstarter and going to do the sketch covers when they get here. And then it's nothing but KAAW and Green Zone for a while. So now's the time to get in on that and check out some awesome books. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate you being here. And I will see most of y'all on Thursday. And otherwise, I will be right back here Tuesday morning. Lord willing, the creek don't rise and Tourette's lets me be. I will be here and I will see you then. Thank you guys and peace out. Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School of Fish Art Stream.
J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Yeah. Said he used to have a howitzer on the end of his tail.